About this love. About this love. How you guys doing today? You are tuned into About This Love podcast with myself, Dale, and my beautiful wife, Chare. Say what's up to the peoples.
What's up, peoples?
Hope you guys had a good week, a good weekend. Another episode About This Love. Thank you all for tuning in. We know it's your favorite show, your favorite podcast, so we appreciate that. But we wanted to just remind you guys just to follow us on the social media, Instagram, About This Love, Facebook, About This Love, number 2, right?
No, 211.
211, I'm sorry, 211. We're also on TikTok, About This Love, and About This Love Dale, where I post videos, just sharing different aspects of marriage and relationships.
Yeah, I think the TikTok is a little bit more raw and uncut.
Yeah.
But we'll link all of that, like wherever links could be linked, just click on it. Or if you do follow us on our Instagram or Facebook, you can get all of our links from there.
Yeah, we also now have a Twitter as well, About This Love and the number 1. I don't know why. Apparently, when I set up the account, About This Love wasn't available, but About This Love number 1 was. So About This Love and literally the number 1.
I mean, maybe other people want to catch on and talk about their love, and
Yeah,
they want to talk about their experience, or maybe how they're going through or experiencing love in their lifetime. So, I mean, I think that's pretty awesome.
Maybe if I would have typed in about this hate, maybe that would have been available.
I don't know. I think people are actually actively looking for love, even though they're maybe afraid to commit. But that's another conversation for another day. I know in our last podcast episode we did talk about commitment. We actually put a poll out. Dale has been doing something more frequently where we decided we're going to start putting out polls, and he's been coming up with some amazing questions. What was last week's poll? It was about
marriage in today's culture. Do you think marriage is worth it in today's culture? I think, paraphrasing it.
Well, yeah. So if you caught that poll and you were able to answer it anonymously, thank you so much. We appreciate your participation, in our questions, and it helps us with, these podcast conversations and even some more things that we have going on behind the scenes that, you guys will catch, like the TikTok or the Twitter.
Yeah.
But for this week, I believe the poll that came out is about, what do you think, why do you think people get married? And, do you think it's, or should I say stay married, right, Dale? Do they stay married for love? Do they stay married because of duty, or is it a financial obligation? And so that's what we want to talk about today.
Or financial come up.
I mean, yeah, I guess a financial come up is different than a financial obligation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have heard or seen in different movies, how different cultures handle marriage and how they view marriage, and is very different. It's already different from person to person, but culturally as as a whole, it's we in America view marriage very much so differently than, or our values surrounding marriage are different than those in different countries and of different ethnicities. And so, Dale found this awesome clip about, this woman who is married to a Korean man, and how, she's from America.
And her name is, I'm sorry.
Oh, yep.
Her name is Megan. Her name is Megan Moon, by the way, if you want to go look at her entire video. It's a wonderful display and interpretation of just how someone who's from America, or as they call it, in Korea or out Asia, the West, and she talks about just how the different views, the different perspectives, and how marriage is viewed differently over, would that be East? East?
Yeah.
Yeah, out East, in Asia versus in America in the West, and I mean, I think she does a wonderful job. Her video actually has been going viral. Like a lot of people on YouTube have actually reacted to it, and a lot of people's reaction to it has been very positive, and a lot of people think that what she's saying is 100% true.
Well, what do you think? Okay, so we're going to play the clip for you guys. We're going to insert it here. And, then we're going to come back with our thoughts.
Marriage is duty. And it's quite different from like kind of what we see like in the Hollywood and in media and stuff. And I feel like kind of our view of marriage like in America is a bit more romanticized. It's like this romantical kind of Disney kind of fairy tale type thing that we like view with marriage. I feel like sometimes we lose a lot of the duty. And a lot of people in marriage just think about, the things that they want to get. Like, I want to get married so I can get this and I can get that and I can have love and happiness and stuff like that. But I notice in a lot of Asian countries, like they view marriage as duty. Of course, people love each other like when they get married, but there's more of an aspect on the things that you need to contribute and things that you need to do in the relationship to keep it afloat. And I notice when people think of marriage here, they think less about, okay, what am I going to be getting? Like, give to me. And there's less of this sort of entitled feeling for what you think you should be getting in marriage. And people tend to focus on how they can make it work and the things that they need to do within that marriage.
Okay, there we go. So listening to her clip, one of the things that I took out of her clip that I liked the most was just the part about duty. And me and my wife, I actually mentioned this on the podcast that I had. We did a few podcasts back, maybe it was longer, but I had referenced that I had spoken to a woman who had been married, who's been married for 30 years. And in our conversation, I asked her, well, what about marriage? Like, how do you have a long-lasting marriage? And she was like, well, I think in today's culture, younger people don't understand that marriage is more so about responsibilities and duties. Love, of course, being first, but I thought it was interesting that she said that as an older woman who'd been married for 30 plus years, and now hearing this woman say this, who is natively from America, and now she's had an opportunity to go live in another country and experience their culture and kind of have a different view of it. And one of the things that she said that I like, and we see a lot in movies, is that in the Western world, marriage is really romanticized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true. While I do want to love my wife, or I should love my wife, and I should want to shower my wife, with gifts, and my wife should want to shower me with gifts, and love and vacations, and great, hot, sweaty sex. That's wonderful, but it's like that's actually not what marriage is actually about. Marriage is actually about responsibilities, obligations, and duty, and love being first. But I think the romantic aspect of it is, I think, what a lot of people kind of look for, and when they no longer have that, they're ready to call it quits and wave in the white towel. Of course, among other things being the reason as well. But I think that's just more so like, with the marriage nowadays in America, people, when women especially want some type of romanticized fantasy, and while that's wonderful, and at the beginning, the reality of it is that's just not reality as it relates to just being married for a long period of time. And God knows, don't throw children in the mix.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about was your proposal to me when we got married. Now, and I say it because, within our generation, you'll see, or our generation, I guess our peer group, I should say, within our peer group, what you will see a lot of is the over outwardly, I won't say overexpressed, but like the outward expression of love and adornment, which there's nothing wrong with. But, basically where you'll see the rose petals to the "Will you marry me" in the room full of balloons, and like your favorite artist singing off to the side. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yes, everyone would love that, right? But let me tell you, your proposal to me, I loved it so much because it was simple, it was private between you and I. It was a moment where you and I shared. And I say that because, and of course we shared like, oh yeah, we're engaged on the internet, on social media, because it ain't official till you post it, right? It ain't happen if you ain't post it. But like the way that you did it, I don't know, you had just got off of work or something and you were trying to tell me that there was like your cat was like not trying to come out from underneath the couch or something. But basically, like, you know, I know you all are thinking, well, what does God do with anything that Dale said or anything that the woman said? What I'm trying to say is just that, you know, people feel as though when you're no longer getting that, like they'd rather have that outward show of affection, even if it's just for the internet, you know, and like in their marriage. And once the lights, camera, action is no longer in motion or in action, once those things have simmered down and the excitement is gone. Remember, we talked about this a few podcast episodes back, probably in last season, just about the infatuation phase. Like that lasts from 1 to 2 years. And once that goes away and that outward adornment or like outward expression has like simmered down.
Shoot, if you throw kids in the picture, it might last less than that.
I mean, yeah, if you have a honeymoon baby
before you get married or after you get married, then it's probably gonna last less than that. The reality of it is, children suck up a lot of time and energy. You know, and I'm not saying that like to sound sour or anything, but I remember when I got married, a father figure of mine used to always say that joint, and I used to be like, man, he sounds so harsh. What he's saying, and it's like when we actually started to have children, like I was reminded by that. He would tell me, he said, "I told you, man." He was like, "Marriage alone, it's difficult and it's a challenge alone to maintain a marriage without kids. Yeah. Like you throw children into the mix, and you could easily divert your time and your energy into your children instead of one another." You know, and let's say you guys have been beefing for a while or arguing, you know, for a while. You can actually divert, you know, instead of having a conversation, you know, because you're two people who are married without children. You can just have the conversation. Now, if you have children, you can just divert that energy and time into them and never have the conversation, or have it whenever you want to, if you ever have it at all. You know, so I just think that's kind of just what I think about when I think about marriage, and just the aspect of it, you know, is I think that there is a romantic part to marriage. Would you agree?
Well, that's all I was saying. Like, I don't think that it's always that, you know. And I think that is based on the person's expectation what romance is, because think about it, like if they're not getting that outward like expression like you see on the internet, is it not romance? Is it not love? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about like maybe 2 anniversaries ago or so, I was thinking about how you like scheduled this whole spa day for us for our anniversary. And because, I don't know, I didn't get flued out to like Mexico or whatever, you know, was that not romantic, you know? And I look back at it and I'm like, man.
Hell yeah, it was romantic. I mean, that spot was expensive.
Okay. I'm not trying to say if it's not expensive, it's not romantic. What I'm trying to say is that when I look back on the activities that we did, and not even just activities, the time spent together. And this is before, we didn't have the kids yet. This is before we had the babies. Yeah, we just had our oldest. And so, you know, but at the time, I don't know, like that was such a big deal for me. Like I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed our time and I wanted to document it. And I'm glad I like took pictures or whatever for myself, not for the internet, even though I want the world to know that, you know, we're married, we've made it 2 years, we've made it 5 years, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I want to encourage other people. That's why I share. But for me, I take those pictures and videos so I can look back on it when I'm having a low day or when I'm feeling like, man, maybe my husband don't love me or maybe this and that. And I look back on it and I'm just like, nah, He did this, he did that. I really love and appreciate that he did that.
Now, I appreciate what you're saying. And I didn't want to I'm not trying to cut you off, cut you short.
Nah, I feel cut off.
But I actually wanted to cut into the, she talked about duty in marriage. I wanted to talk about duty. And for all you guys, again, her name is Megan Moon watch the video. Like
we're gonna link it.
It's really incredible. But one of the things that she mentioned in the video that she does for her husband every day is that she says, every day my husband, I get up and I make him a cup of coffee. And she was like, it's days where I don't feel like it, to be honest, and I just want to sleep in. But I know it means the world to him. So I get up even when I don't feel like it and make him a cup of coffee. And for a lot of people, they're like, well, you can make your own coffee. What you talking about? He got 2 hands, he got 2 legs. And I also like that in the video, she speaks briefly on how in the Korean culture, they understand that there's a difference between a man and a woman. They understand and they understand that each gender has a role to play. And she was like, and she spoke briefly about how in America, how in Korea, they don't actually like demonize you if you are a feminist or, if you are a woman that want to be home with your kids, or if you are a woman that want to work, they don't demonize you. But she says how in the Western culture, they actually demonize you. But one of the things that she said is that, if I had met my husband in my earlier years, I probably wouldn't have been able to receive him because I was so independent. And she was like, in my earlier years, I was so I can lift my own bags. No, I can carry. I can open my own door. She said, but as I began to be around my husband and learn that men actually like to feel useful. They like serving. Like my husband likes to carry my bags. My husband likes to arrange the groceries or the canned goods in the pantry. Like he likes doing that. And it's like, she was like, I just learned to receive that. But I just liked how she gave practical examples of just duties in marriage. And a duty can really, it's really depending on the couple. But I think that it's something that once you begin to implement, that you continue doing it because your spouse expects it. And it's like, I don't have to, but it's like, like a while ago, I went to the kitchen and made myself a cup of coffee, and my wife loves tea, so I made her a cup of tea. I mean, I ain't have to make her no tea. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I know that she likes tea. So I just think just I like how she kept the duties part of marriage very simple. Like it, not like it's a chore, but it's like because my spouse actually appreciates this and they look forward for me doing that, I do it. Do I always feel like doing it? No, I do not. But I do it anyways because I know that they appreciate it,
Yeah, I think it's something to that. I think 2 things that I heard when you were sharing her story. One thing is receiving. Like, I think there's a place where a portion of our marriage where we need to receive our spouse. I think it's hard to do that because, we still got one foot in and out the marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you thinking, nah, like as soon as this love fizzle out, I'm going to,
gone, yo.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone, or nah, they did some things that I ain't like, and I'm already looking at divorce papers, and there's no room to grow. You're not even in the mindset to receive your spouse anyways. I think that's a phase that we need to actually, experience, people actually go through. We need to talk more about it, is the receiving part. Because, this one thing when it's like, I received you. We married, you my wife, or, you my husband.
They received somebody.
I received you. But it's like, no, this person could be up in your house, and all throughout your mind, you could be like, well, if something go wrong, we could actually divorce now. And I bought the table, he bought the TV, I bought the this, he bought the that, and we could split evenly. And we don't got no kids. And people who get married and divorced within like a year, 2 years, they could be thinking that the whole time. Like, I came in with this and I'm going to leave with that. Like, if it don't work out, or if I realize that they're less than perfect. And so that's one, receiving. And then the second thing I heard you say, was
duty.
No, that's the main word, duty. But what I'm hearing, the underlying tone is, being happy to serve, serving someone other than yourself, dying to yourself, actually putting your love on display, and in the simple ways, in the mundane, which, like you were saying, you made me a cup of tea, or she makes her husband a cup of coffee in the mornings. And it's like, we had gotten some advice in when we were getting marriage counseling, just about how, when you are serving one another, no one's needs go unmet. But it's almost like there may be a time, I feel like, in the beginning of your marriage, or while you're still trying to find your dance and your footing and receiving one another, where you may be the only one that seems like you're serving with nothing in return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But until you understand, okay, this is how my husband is showing me love, or this is how my wife is showing me love. Like, until you understand that, I feel like it may seem very one-sided.
Yeah, I think the way I heard somebody explain to it one time is that, like, marriage, I mean, this is just hypothetically, of course, but like, or should I say, metaphorically, marriage is like kind of like a bank. Whatever you put into it is what you'll be able to pull out of it in the times when you need to. Like, if I'm serving my spouse, serving my husband, serving my wife, it's just money I'm putting in my marriage bank. But if I'm not if I'm not doing that, and when the times come and times get difficult, I'm not gonna have anything to really pull out of. And I think most of the time, that's actually why people get divorced. People get divorced because, like you said, they're not serving their spouses. They're not sowing anything into their marriage. So when times get difficult, and you actually be like, yo, we went through a lot together. She held me down, or he held me down. A, B, C, and D. But it's like, nah, if you ain't doing that, you can't say that. So, when times get difficult, you don't know, I'm out, man.
Yeah.
Bump this joker. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I just think that what I would actually encourage people to do is, and me and my wife, we were just having a conversation before the podcast came on. I was like, you know what? I actually love, because my wife, she watches Asian dramas, or Asian soap operas. I think, is that what they're called? But I've always appreciated watching or observing other cultures and how they interact. And one of the things I always tell my wife about Americans is, I think that because we have so much in America, because we have so many shoes to pick from, we have so many men to pick from, we have so many women to pick from, we have so many TVs to pick from, so many cars to pick from. It's like, because we have so much at our disposal, we actually don't appreciate anything. When you have so much at your disposal, and you can pick like anything you want to, whether it's people, clothes, a job, whatever you can name, it actually makes you appreciate things a lot less, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could agree with that. What it was making me think of is just how, like you said, like, we have access to a lot of things. But also, it sounds like the lack of standards. Like, you need to be even more disciplined. That's just like having a fridge full of food and then trying to eat it all in one day. And it's like,
why are you looking at me for when you say that?
Oh, I mean, hey, I feel that way like whenever I have ice cream, but whatever. I'm not even about to go there.
Nah, that's
about the ice cream.
I'm with you.
No, but what I'm saying is just that, like, you have a fridge full of food, or like you feel like, the world is your platter, is your plaything, and you have no standards. So already you're going into the dating scene, or, the marriage scene, thinking you can have everyone. But, the one thing I've realized in our marriage is that I couldn't leave if I wanted to, because, like, the Lord has put us together for a reason. There are things within you and things within me that we can only pull out of one another. I can't go into another relationship trying to replicate what I have with you.
So what you're saying,
it's never going to be that.
What you're saying is that you need me.
Yeah.
And I need you.
Dale, I know you joking right now, but yes.
No, I'm not joking. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I'm being like,
but people hate, but
no,
in today's climate, people don't want to say that. I just seen a meme floating around last night that was like, I'd rather suffer than tell somebody I need help. And I'm just thinking, that's help, pride.
Yeah, I need help.
That's foolishness, because you're going to suffer for nothing. Years are going to be wasted. You're going to be going in a circle, and people...
Time gone, money gone.
Money, your life, your vitality gone. And I'm like, shoot. And, that's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants us to waste our time, because that's one thing that we do not have is time. We don't have time on our side.
We don't have
and so
it,
if we waste our time, and we cannot get it back. Like, and so with that being said, I definitely want us to do another podcast episode just about, our standards when we're coming into like a dating relationship. And we're going to just keep beating this thing in the head because I feel like people don't value themselves. People don't have a standard and they don't even know where to start. And, you can't have and then let's say they do somehow end up in marriage or, think they want to get married. They're scared as heck to even get married because it's like, well, I don't know, this may be a red flag, or when I'm already married, is that a red flag? And should I look out for this and that? That was popular a few weeks ago. Oh, if he do this and that, that's a red flag. And it's kind of like, is that a red flag or is that generational trauma? What exactly is it that's keeping a couple from being together and working on their marriage? Because I honestly believe if it's two people that's willing, why can't y'all get through things? You know what I'm saying? I think that's what has helped us get through our low moments in marriage. We were two people who are willing. And to think that low moments in marriage are not going to happen, I think that would be very foolish.
Yeah, I was going to also say that check me out on TikTok at Dale at About This Love. And one of the things, one of the videos that I had done recently is talking about preparation for marriage. And I'm not about to go ahead and get into a whole spiel, but one of the things that I mentioned in that video, which I think goes along and what you said, well, not go online, but kind of stand beside it, is that I was talking about how if you really look at or observe other cultures and observe our culture, and when I say our culture, I mean specifically for African Americans, what you can actually realize is that we actually were not prepared for marriage. Now, I'm not saying that as a whole, because you always get that one person who's like, well, my mom and daddy was married for 45. Well, you are the exception, not the rule. But for the majority of us, we did not grow up in households where our parents were married. We may have known somebody who was married. We may have had an uncle and aunt or cousin who were married, but we didn't live with them full time all the time. We saw them every once in a while, or often, but it doesn't give you a full picture into living inside of a household with people who are married. So I say that to say that one of the things that I realize is that, in today's culture, we're not prepared for marriage. We didn't come from a culture that was rooted in marriage. So for a lot of us, getting married, being married, seeing marriages as a vital benefit and a vital tool for a lot of us is just not really where it's at. Like we do not see marriage that way, So I think that for a lot of us, it's gonna have to be us just kind of reprogramming our mind and having a new paradigm as it relates to how we view and see marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I definitely agree. So really quick, before we close out, I want to ask you, what would be, as far as serving, I guess, a spouse or actually seeing marriage as being important, what would be one thing that you would tell your younger self about marriage, or somebody who's looking to get married about marriage? What is one thing, just on the lines of the conversation?
Probably just ask your spouse to reveal to you areas where they feel you are selfish, and just work on those areas. Because I think what plagues a lot of young marriages, and specifically it relates to men, and I've said this before on previous podcasts, is that men are very selfish, and I hear that a lot from women. They're saying, well, my husband won't help out with the kids. My husband, we both work all day. My husband won't make dinner, or he even won't even take it out off the freezer, for that matter. A lot of men they're just selfish, include myself, in some areas, and I've gotten less selfish in some areas, but I'm still having to walk through that. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that you realize about women is that women tend not to be very selfish. I'm not saying that they can't be selfish, but I'm saying that's usually not a tendency of a woman, is to be selfish. That's usually a tendency of a man. Now, yes, they can be selfish in some areas, as all humans can, but when it relates to like selfishness in a marriage, you usually tend to see that with men, not with women.
Yeah. I can see that. I think I have given a married friend advice just about, I guess dealing with selfishness with her spouse. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I know you don't mind serving, but let's not get into the, well, he not going to do it, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it. I think we need to create space and allow our husbands to do it and hold them to it. Like, you said you were going to do this. You did not keep your word to me, because then that's something else we're going to have to do, because down the line, what's going to end up happening, which I see now in my own family, is that it'll affect the kids and how the grandkids, respect you all's marriage.
Yeah.
So I definitely enjoyed the conversation with you today.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed it too. Thank you guys for tuning into About This Love podcast. Until next time, peace.
Thank you for tuning into today's podcast episode. Be sure to follow and share your thoughts as we continue the conversation on About This Love's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Join the About This Love community on Discord. The ATL podcast episodes can be found on all podcast streaming platforms. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please consider submitting a donation via PayPal or Cash App to keep our podcast going. Click on the link below to find our podcast and social media platforms. Thank you. Until next time, peace.